I have spent years teaching around the state of Texas and nationally, and I am here to tell you that not any agent is the same. In fact, there's a lot that are kind of crazy, but don't say that I said that. So let's talk about 5 things that agents should be doing for you.
A little bit, when I stopped.
Today we've got carriesietsema, Nelson Chang, and I'm Robbie English, and we're talking about realtors and what your agent should be doing for you. And trust me, they are not all the same. There's some good ones, and there's some that shouldn't even actually be in the business. But we're not talking about whether they should be in the business today. We're talking about what they should be doing for you. And I have 2 of my favorite agents here today. As always, I'm thrilled to be one of the co-hosts with both of them and jumping in and talking about what agents should be doing. What crazy things have y'all seen with other agents out there?
Shoot, it's all about going that extra mile, though. I mean, crazy can be subjective to one person, but not really to the other, right? It might be norm for them where it's crazy for me, but you can do anything. I've seen agents mow lawns before pictures. Like
I ain't mowing no lawn.
Texas heat. That can get real hot.
Carrie?
I've had a chance to work with some amazing agents on the other side of the table that just had really outstanding communication. That's what makes other agents really stand out to me is when they're right there getting back to me as we're both trying to help our clients, and you can tell they're really engaged and they're really really positive. So that's what's impressed me about some of the agents that I've had a chance to work with.
Yeah, I just had one listing agent. It took me 3 freaking weeks to try and get in a house. Talk about no return phone calls, no nothing. It's been absolutely crazy. So they're not all the same, and all the education isn't the same either. But there's 5 things that we've kind of identified that an agent should be doing for you. And we kind of want to start this out today with getting on the right foot with your agent and the client. And I think it's pretty critical. Um, Carrie, Nelson?
Oh, definitely. I mean, if you get off on the wrong foot, you're going to have a terrible relationship and you're just going to burn bridges. I mean, it's just like a new construction. Your house needs to be paved on a good foundation, because if it's not great, then the house is not going to be worthy. So getting off on the right foot is highly important, whether it's establishing timelines, financing considerations, or figuring out what your wants, needs, and must-haves are. Right? Those are all big things that you should be talking about when you're getting off on the right foot, because why would if I don't establish a timeline with you, how am I going to be able to help you in a specific time if, you're not transparent with me, right?
Absolutely. And that's one of the things that we talk about a lot is establishing those wants, needs, and have to haves with our clients so that they really are on the same page with us. Because if you don't have that right roadmap, it's really kind of hard to get where you're going, right? I mean, Google Maps can only get you so far, and that's really not going to even get you what somebody wants. And, what in our job to save them time and energy.
Oh, definitely. It would help out a lot. And I know one thing that I really enjoy about Carrie and you is you guys always talk about how we should, set expectations as well. I know one thing Carrie has mentioned before is like, hey, you got to, expect something, but make sure you set it.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah. Especially the way the real estate market is right now. It's really important for me, at least, to sit down with my clients and let them know, this is how many homes you can expect to see. This is how quickly you might expect to want to make an offer once you do see the home that you like. This is how quickly we can expect to need to get into a home once it is listed to be able to be in the running to put in an offer.
Yeah, and knowing what the market is, because we see, if anybody's on TikTok, there's this funny little realtor meme where the realtor's acting out to a pre-recorded audio that has this person that comes on and says, "We're looking for a 5,000 square foot house, or no more than $200,000, and it has to be in this school district," and it's all these hopes and dreams and everything, and then the realtor's comment was, "Hey, Karen, that house was on the market and only on the market in 1992." It's really having that proper expectation about that market is absolutely right.
Oh, shoot. I mean, imagine walking into a home and showing homes and things like that without knowing that's something that is not realistic, right? It can't be afforded, right? That would be a waste of time on both parties, right? But that's why it's important to be 100% transparent with both sides. If you're transparent with me and honest, I'm going to be transparent just as much backwards, if not more, because I'm here to help you and do your job correctly.
Absolutely. I sit down and I work on those wants, needs, and have to haves with my clients in person typically, or we'll do it on Zoom or something. And typically, occasionally, we'll get a husband that says, I don't care, whatever makes her happy, and has that whole attitude. And I'm like, great, write that on your sheet and sign your name. Because when it comes down to finding the house and you say, la, 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 then I'm going to pull out this piece of paper. I'm going to say, booyah, you going to get jack shit as far as a decision at all. And
what's a must-have for you, a have-to-have?
Me?
Yeah, Robbie, what would you have to say that would be a have-to-have?
Garage space.
Garage space?
3-car garage.
3-car garage? What about you, Carrie?
Yeah, me too. I will not consider living in a home without a garage just because of the hail that we get in Central Texas from time to time.
Good call.
Yeah, it's not often, but it does happen.
Yeah, it's one thing that I do. I would have to agree. It's extra garage space. Not so much 3-car garage. 3 cars for me would be an excessive amount of cars, but to have that extra space would be convenient. I mean, you have hobbies and things like that, or storage if you need.
Is Mariah around there? Are you talking about leaving her car out or something? And I don't know about you, but I got junk in one of those extra bays. I got one bay that's just full.
Yeah, I need my workshop. I gotta have my woodworking tools, everything that I need to be able to work and spend time. That's extra space, right? But the car also needs to be protected because insurance goes up if it's parked outside, right? All of that can be, so it's better to just have it, protected. It makes more sense, and having that garage space is key. But if you're asking me like a real must have to have for myself, I would have to say like an extra room, whether it's a study, a den, or even in my opinion, it would be like a movie room or media room, just where I can be able to do what I want and just zen out, essentially.
Yeah. I've had one house with a pool, and I want another pool.
You like the pool?
I did like the pool. Now, let me be honest. I don't like public water. So I won't go. I don't want to go to a community pool. I don't want to go where anybody else has been in there, whether it's pee, poo, or whatever, or anything else that could have happened in that water. Yeah, no. I want it drained. I want it cleaned, and fresh water put in there. But,
definitely.
Hey, understanding those wants and needs of a clients, because they've all got these crazy kind of expectations, and some of them are more realistic. But the biggest thing that I have found is, let's say Nelson and his beautiful bride, Mariah, are wanting to go buy a house, and they're just general consumers. The one thing out of the gate that I sincerely need to do is make sure that Nelson and Mariah are on the same page.
Yep.
And that's where many people screw up, is not thinking, do they align as far as what they want?
Yeah, that's crucial, because that's how problems happen, and a bridge can be burnt very quickly in that case, because imagine going to show a house with someone that's not making the decision. That can be problematic for everyone, right? It's just best to keep it between the two, husband and wife, or whatever, whoever's name is going to be on that, it needs to be, they are the ones driving the car, not your grandma or your mother-in-law, right? It's whoever is
Right.
going to be making those decisions.
But making sure everybody's voices are heard who are going to be living there.
Oh yeah,
You
definitely.
know, I don't want Nelson making a decision for Mariah that Mariah's not going to be happy with. Right?
But I'm just gonna say, sure, honey. It's just that's key in my opinion. And another thing that I find to be very important is just communication. Like communication needs to be established up the get-go, right? Find out a way to communicate with someone, whether it's phone, email, text. Find out which way. I prefer honestly text. It's easier, right? Because I'll get to it when I have a second, when I can, right? When I'm driving, I'm not going to look at it. But that's something that I can get to you immediately once I see it, right? I prefer it that way, and I'm sure y'all feel the same about that.
I'm on a similar page. One thing that I like to ask my clients when we start out is, how do you want me to communicate with you if it's something that's not urgent? And how do you want me to communicate with you if it's something that is urgent?
Ooh, good point.
Yeah, that's great.
Because the communication is very different at the beginning when we're just starting to talk about what they want than it is when we're, you know, deep into looking at homes and I all of a sudden see something that's popped up on the MLS that looks like it might meet their needs. You know, I don't want to send them an email that they're going to see 6 hours later. I'm usually going to pick up and give them a call if that's what they've requested, so that we can, you know, get in there and see that house.
And different generations, they want different things. You know, they fit into this little box. We have to learn to work with them.
Yep. I mean, that's true. Everyone's changing. People want letters back then. People want emails after. And now text messages or phone calls, right? But it's key to have that communication. When you go to war, the first thing you establish is communication, because if you don't have it, how are you going to know what's going on, right? Where you're thousands of miles away. So communication is another thing that can burn bridges if it's
absolutely. So we also have to think about some of those realistic pricing expectations. Wouldn't you agree with that? I mean, that is kind of crazy. We were talking this morning about somebody who just got approved for $350,000, and we're like, okay.
But Robbie, I want to see those $1 million houses I can't buy.
Right? Well, you can go to our YouTube channel and see that. But literally, what in the world? It's not whether you're buying or you're selling, it's really having that price expectation that's going to work with your budget, right?
Oh, definitely. Right. I've had it where it's been samples of just like, hey, I want to go see this house or that house. And I go, look, we'll show you a couple. I'll give you a freebie. But if it's not within budget, why are we going to, you know, that's time we can be being productive elsewhere. I hate saying it's a waste of time, but come on, it is. I'm not going to get that time back, and you're not going to get that time back, right? These are things.
A lot of emotional investment on the part of the client too. Like if I take someone to see a home and they fall in love with it, and then find out that it's not in the right price range for them, whether it be too high or too low.
That's the worst.
Be a painful experience.
Yeah, definitely.
That's the worst, because you can know it's very hard to get them over the hurdle about the difference between a $400,000 house and $150,000 or $250,000 house, much less $3 million and $1 million or $2 million.
Definitely,
it's a huge difference.
Oh, there's a huge difference, but nothing stops you from being able to make that $200,000 house look like $1 million. I mean, there's a lot of things you can do, right?
True.
But you have to be, you know, creative in your own set, but you have to be realistic, right? I'm not going to go have dreams of myself going to go date one of those movie stars. That's not going to happen. Yeah, fantasize all I want, but that's not going to happen.
And don't beat up your realtor because you're stuck in a budget criteria that you don't like.
Exactly.
I mean, it's not our fault. We don't have anything to do with the budgetary requirements. That has to do with the cars you choose to drive and the way you choose to use your money and maybe the loans that are available. Mm-hmm. And I mean, we can't even control the real estate market. We could. I would just be teetering and moving it around, and you know, my crystal ball is not working.
It's broken.
Send it back.
It's going.
I know, right? Now the give a damn ball isn't working either. So you know about the crystal ball. So hey, what can we do?
No one knows what's going to happen tomorrow, right?
Right. Yeah, but what do we have to do? The second thing that we really wanted to kind of talk about and jump in about the 5 things that your agent should be doing for you is really what happens when we bring a buyer to the marketplace. And people go, what do you mean bringing a buyer to the marketplace? But that is a specific process that a competent realtor has to do with every consumer or every buyer that they are representing. And there is a lot that takes place in this little subsection of
representation. Bless you. Those allergies are coming in strong because I feel you. I've been like that all day. My tonsils, everything's all swollen. It's just like,
I'm sorry. It's that nasty pollen that's going on.
Oh, and it's about to get worse. If you know Austin, your cars are going to turn yellow.
Right? But,
yes.
Even in bringing them to the marketplace, it has to do with the representation. We need to have clear lines of communication set up, but we also need to understand what's going to happen with representation. Who's going to do what? Carrie, talk a little bit about representation for us.
Yeah, so representation is so important. So the first step that I do when I am working with a client is we go in and we set up our buyer representation agreement if I'm representing a buyer. And what that does is that really does protect the client. It also protects me, but it really protects the client. And as once I am in that agreement with them, I'm legally obligated to represent their interests above anyone else's, including my own. And everyone who's buying and selling in the real estate marketplace deserves to have that kind of representation. So that's the very first thing is we'll go through, it's a several page agreement, needs a few signatures on it, but that really sets the client up for success to be represented.
Without doubt. I don't know, it's one thing, it's Robbie has taught us a lot through his classes, his courses throughout the years of all of these kind of representations, because there's a lot of different types of representation out there, right? But one that is not signed, I mean, you go through life signing contracts every day. And it's very important that you get that established early on, right? If you're off on the right foot, continue to go on and get that signed, because it's very important for us to be able to represent you efficiently and correctly, because if not, then we're just doing the duty to the seller, right? I mean, we're not helping anyone out but that person. So
right. And the way that the law works in Texas is a little bit strange, in that if I show someone a house and I'm not officially their real estate agent, then all of a sudden I'm officially representing the seller. Mm-hmm. So that's important for people to know when they're going to shop for homes, that they should be going to shop with a real estate agent that is in a representation agreement with them, so that that person is not caught in a situation where all of a sudden they're obligated to disclose things to the seller that person might not want a seller to know.
Oh yeah, sub-agency. Yeah.
Sub-agency, yeah.
That's one of those great things that is in our information about brokerage services. And I'm sure somebody's going to be out there seeing this and go, well, there is implied agency. And let me tell you, an implied agency in its most generic little form, that is when an agent acts as an agent and provides the services to a consumer through their actions, not through a written list of I'm responsible for this or I'm doing this. It's just that they act like an agent and do agent duties. The bad thing about that, in all honesty, is that can happen without somebody even knowing. And I don't know about you, but I think that it's kind of like dating. Somebody's going to end up getting hurt if you don't have the clear laid out, what is going to happen between the two parties. And I mean, I certainly wouldn't want to go into a marriage or any other kind of relationship. And yes, a marriage is taking it way over to the end, but I think people don't think about that either when they're starting to get married. But implied agency is that general activity of being an agent and the consumer being serviced through the actions of an agent, whether the agent even knows it or not. So why would you want to have an implied agency? I mean, you have to prove that. I mean,
there's no way of proving that. How do you prove it was there? Right? It's just up in the air. There's nothing signed. There's nothing solidified, right? It's a scary.
It can't help an agent, but it can surely hurt an agent. So mm-hmm. I don't know. I mean, I know a few, not my favorite, that work with just implied agency, but why wouldn't you respect yourself enough as a realtor and respect your client enough to have an agreement where you have to actually, here's what I'm going to do, here's what you're going to do, and are we facilitating that?
Yeah, that's why it's very important to sign. I mean, if you can get that representation and agreement signed, I mean, it establishes a lot of my duties, our duties, client duties, and things like that. The loyalty also is to those who were signed, right? Because my fiduciary responsibility now is towards you. I put everything in front of myself for your benefit, right? I'm not going to put myself in favor or someone else. You're my favorable, responsibility. So that is very important. Sorry, excuse me.
It's allergies to getting us all. But it is kind of crucial. I mean, you don't move into an apartment without a lease.
No,
excuse me. Dang it.
We're all bad here. Carrie out on the Austinite's the one that's like, she's like, this is nothing.
You don't rent a mailbox, cell phone service. Everything requires an agreement. I mean, this shouldn't be something. I mean, I kind of look at people and if they're afraid to talk about the agreement, I've heard some people say, plan for the divorce before the marriage. That way you know how, and I'm not talking about in a marriage, but in a business relationship, so many business relationships fall apart and people start businesses between friends and, oh, I'm an agent. I don't want to work with my friends. That's how you mess it up. No, it's not. If you have clear outline specifics of what you're going to do.
Yeah. Specifics. I don't want someone coming in between the hours of 8 and 10 a.m. How am I, I'm not going to know. That would be terrible. Imagine you getting ready for work and someone showing up inside the house to show, right? It's going to establish a lot of stuff that's going to come towards the future. And it's very helpful to have all of that in writing.
Right.
Man, my allergies are bad. So I'm trying to get away from the mic because I'm weaving through one nostril right now. It's so bad. It's awkward.
Yeah. But also it has to do with searching for properties, right?
Definitely.
Carrie, where do you normally search for properties?
So I'm searching for properties on the multiple listing service, the Austin MLS. Open that up every morning and I, have my clients, I know what they're looking for, and I have a custom search that I personally do each morning for each of my clients to see if there's anything that's shown up that's new in the morning that might meet what they need. I also have them all set up on automatic searches through my website. So they get emails on their preferred frequency, whether it be once a day, once a week, when new properties show up. So that way I'm getting a stream of information and they're also getting a stream of information. So we can both kind of browse together and, as they find things that interest them, they will message me. As I find things that I think they need to know about, I'll message them. And we've had a lot of success that way.
It's the main tool of our advantage is having that MLS. I mean, yeah, you have things where you can go and see Zillow, Redfin, whatever, but there's just more, it's advantageous in your favor to deal with an agent who has the ability to look through the MLS and set up parameters so specific to the point where you want the house facing east, for example, right? That is a little bit more information that if you give it to us, the more detailed it gets, the faster we can find you the house that you're looking for or the place that you're looking for, right? So even setting up like a simple search, like I want to be 5 minutes away from my work, plug in the work address, we can find you all the locations and all the homes available within that area. And it's actually a fantastic tool. I love playing with that.
I need a house 15 minutes from H Mart.
That would be ideal, right? You can just plug in the address for H Mart and boom, you set up a parameter. There's a special filter where it says, 15 minutes and it'll give you a radius of that location. You could also tone it down to the point, hey, I want to show up to work between the hours of 7:30 and 8 Monday through Friday, and you can set up a search when it only takes 15 minutes because you have to take into account traffic, right? Traffic may turn a 15-minute drive into a 45-minute drive.
Makes
So
sense.
it does help. I mean, the MLS is very powerful. It's integrated with a lot of tools, especially the Austin one, so forth. The other ones in Texas, Central Texas has a great one as well. San Antonio has a fantastic MLS, and
Oh, I
Oh,
love the
San
word
Antonio
fantastic because
system.
I like theirs.
Yeah.
they have powerful tools in each one. They lack a little bit from each one. If they were to all get together, it'd be one phenomenal, MLS. But to each their own. But I really love playing with the searches and the parameters that we can target specific things for your needs, your
Me
wants.
too.
Research. Yeah,
Yeah.
market research. There's another
Yeah.
of the top 5.
Yeah,
Great
definitely.
segue, Nelson.
Thank you. I mean, I love
Really
talking
great
about market
segue.
research because that's my forte, and I just love to be able to. And this is something I would not do if we didn't get off on the right foot or establish an agreement, right? Because I'm not going to show you comparative market analysis without you being my client and without you being, me there to help you. Because a CMA is a very powerful tool, and the MLS, wow, it's just you can pull everything from there. Such data. And I know Robbie, I took a class from Robbie, and wow, it was so much fun because I learned a lot more than I had just from playing by myself on the computer. I remember one thing he says, hey, go here, look at this, the 1004 MC. It's such a powerful tool. And I love using that for my own research, right? I don't know if you've dabbled with it before, Carrie, have you?
I love the 1004 MC.
Yeah.
One of my favorite reports.
Yeah, it's easy. It's something I don't give away to many clients. That's just something I keep for myself as research, right? To be able to, to tell you where the market's going, where it's been, and where it's bound to be at, right? Because it's statistics based off facts that's happened, right?
Well, I'm glad you're using it because it's not only knowing that it's out there, it's knowing how to use it
Mm-hmm.
and using it,
Oh,
because it's like knowing things are available to us, but choosing to make it work for your clients is so advantageous.
yeah, definitely. What are one of some of the advantages for a comparative market analysis? What would you say for our viewers out there? That is one of the advantages for CMA.
Well, one of the things is if you're selling, you need to know what an appropriate price is to decide for your home. Obviously, the seller is going to make the decision about the price that they're going to list their home for. But what I always like to do is give them as much data as possible and allow them to make a very data-based decision on that. Because when you're selling your home, it's very easy to put a lot of emotion into it and kind of think about a price based on what you think it might be worth or based on all the amazing, wonderful memories that you have in that home or all the hard work that you've done to improve it yourself. When, really what you need to be looking at is the data and what similar homes in your area have sold for recently.
Yeah.
And since Texas is a non-disclosure state, which means that the sales price of a property is not public record, that means that only licensed real estate agents and some other licensees like appraisers have access to know what the home next door, the home down the street actually sold for. Consumers can go online and look at a Zestimate or another automated value. They can look at what the home was listed for, but ultimately, unless they're talking to a licensed realtor, they're not going to be able to know the actual sold price of the house. And that is incredibly valuable data, especially when they're deciding what they want to price their house at.
And I'm so glad you said price because, there's two things. We're not allowed to say the value. It's more of the price because what one person is willing to pay for something can be completely different from what the actual value is, right? I'm willing to pay, only $5 for these paper clips because that's what I think they're worth. But just because I want something, supply and demand, I'm going to put more money down if there's a low supply and I really want it, right? Doesn't really mean that's what the value is. And the more information we have from the MLS and from appraisers, that helps with all the things that we can be doing for market research to better give you an idea of what you can offer as a for the sales price of a home or what you would like to list it at, right? It all comes down to your judgment, but we're here to guide you in the correct ways. And I'm glad you talked about the AVMs because Zillow, Redfin, all of those companies that have AVMs online, yes, they have the actual information of what they sold, but they can't tell people what it is. But AVM is just like an algorithm that computers just base off demographics or where it's at, like just a subsection of an area, and it pulls out all that information and gives you an AVM, right? But there's one thing that I always, and I don't know where I picked this up, but I'm so glad I did. An AVM is a computer, and what it is they don't have eyes, ears, nose, mouth, or they can't feel. It's just a computer.
Right.
When you're seeing a house that might be located at X, there might be, you know, a garbage disposal facility right around the corner, but the computer does not take that into account. And that can be a problem for you if you have a sensitive nose. You'll be smelling that trash all the time if that's
true.
Right? You need to have someone who is very geographical competent with the area to be able to tell you, yo, if you have a sensitive nose, from what you're telling me, you might want to stay away from this area as there's a dumpster facility right around the corner. And let's be real, the price is right, but do you want to sacrifice your nose for that price, or are you willing to continue to look around until you find the one that you want?
What everybody needs to know is Nelson's talking about himself here. He's got a very sensitive nose.
I do. Can't wear perfume, can't wear cologne, gotta neutralize everything because my nose it's terrible. And I mean, I would not want to sell one of my clients a home that has, you know, PTSD, and there's a quarry around the corner, right? That can be problematic in the future, and that'd be terrible on my part. I should be aware of the quarry that's located within 5 minutes away and makes the house rumble every morning at 9:30 in the morning, right? I'm not going to be sending my clients in there if I know they have that kind of, I don't even know what it's called, I guess, disorder, correctly. Like, I don't want to, that'd be terrible on my part, and I would hate to put someone through that. And AVM does not tell you these things. It doesn't show you any of it. It's just an algorithm.
No.
So
AVM has also never been inside of your house. So AVM does not know if all of your walls need to be repainted, or if you've just redone 3 bathrooms in your house and they're these beautiful, amazing things, or if you have, you know, the highest end appliances in your kitchen. Like, the computer doesn't know that.
Yeah, definitely.
You need a person to go in and evaluate that and then change the homes you're comparing price to.
Exactly. Yeah. And making those adjustments and knowing what it's worth, you know, a value to remodel a bathroom might be more in this neighborhood than it might be in that neighborhood. And a competent agent would know the actual adjustment keys. Those who have been properly taught and trained would help you more in your favor for that.
Yeah. I mean, there's so much that you pick up from eyes, ears, nose, everything that really does make a difference when you are looking for a buyer and really knowing the area of where they need to, where they're wanting to go based on their lifestyle, because everybody is different.
Yeah, everyone is different. Everyone has their likes, wants, and must-haves, right? There's all of that stuff. And I honestly prefer to have a house facing, you know, towards the west, right? Because in the summertime, I want to barbecue, and being in the backyard outside, that is going to be a problem. And it's going to be kind of hot, and I'm going to be disastrous. But see, an AVM won't tell you that. You have to be in the area. Like, yeah, you would know, right? Northeast, west, and south, right? Generally, if we're in the northern hemisphere, the sun is going to, you know, set on the west. It's going to be very hot facing that direction. But if we're on the other side, it's going to be the complete opposite. So being able to have an agent who knows these kind of things and is able to tell you, like, hey, we're in Texas, it gets really hot in the summer. If you're telling me you like being outside and enjoying a barbecue, we might want to find a house that has either a nice patio covered, or being able to face it towards, have a backyard facing the east, because that's where the most shade is going to be throughout the day, right?
It's key.
Oh, it's very key. And I don't know, honestly, being able to pull these market conditions for our clients, it'll help with statistics, right? I mean, I like to know what the housing inventory is, and I haven't checked today's this morning for Austin as I was busy driving around. Do you guys know what the inventory is at right now for Austin?
I haven't pulled it today.
Let's just do a quick little one. I'm gonna pull it search if you guys want to continue. I'll do it very quickly.
No, yeah, it's nice to know, because we need to know the length of the time that a house is expected to be on the market. And right now, you know, everybody's like, list and under contract. It's really, really quick, but that's not the same thing for all areas of Austin or San Antonio or the areas in between the two metropolises.
I remember last week when we talked about when we had our stream, I remember there was 619 active homes for sale in Austin. As of right now, there are 579 active listings within Austin. So it's gone down a little bit.
Yeah.
I know over the weekend it had a high of 650, I believe, but yeah, some of them like whoosh, like where did
And
they
what
go?
about San Antonio? We were like what, 2,300, weren't we?
It was at 2273. Yes,
I bet it's around 21.
Probably.
I don't know. I haven't pulled it, but I need to go look at that.
And we never know what's going to happen with the market as of today, right? And tomorrow there might be something completely different, and that'll affect a lot of numbers, right? If the interest rate goes up or if it goes down, those are going to affect numbers. But honestly, to tell you the truth, I don't think it'll have an impact with Texas very much. Everyone is desire to come to Texas, especially right now.
They want to be my neighbor.
Everything right now, people want to come to Austin just because it's South by Southwest. I was at the Fairmount earlier this morning, and I was hearing that Brad Pitt's staying at the hotel, and I go, "How is this? Is just Austin?" Apparently now it's become so popular that you're having famous people just stop by whenever they want, right? Because that's what's going on.
Yeah,
that's crazy, and that affects the market, right? Popularity.
Right, just like those list price to sales price percentages, knowing where people are putting in their offers and understanding how that works along with the months of housing inventory. And I mean, there's tons of different reasons why we need this information, but we need to know where the market is today, where it was yesterday, and where is it going. And we do that through trending. And a competent realtor is doing this on a hopefully a weekly basis, is really charting it out so that their clients understand, are we buying at the high? Are we buying in the middle? Where are we tracking that we're going to go? And a lot of times it's really hard because it's coming from historical numbers, but it's kind of follows a little bit of a pattern. And it's been interesting to see how the years have, 20, 21, and now 22 are going to mesh up with the previous 2 years.
Oh, yeah. Seeing the past, 2 years, we've had increases in Austin just been consecutively in the 20s.
Right.
Correct. I mean, that's absurd. And you have cities going outside of Austin that are also increasing on a yearly basis. I mean, the national average, is 6%, 4 to 7% roughly, right? Throughout a year. And Austin has exceeded that by 14%. So,
yeah.
I mean, 2 years in a row. That's crazy. And who knows what the next year is going to be like. Do you guys have a feeling it's going to be the same this year or higher?
Carrie?
I feel like it's going to stay pretty consistent with the growth that we've seen over the last couple of years.
Mm-hmm.
I don't see that the acceleration is going to slow down.
Yeah, you're right. Because once it gets to that plateau, to the apex, it's kind of plateaus up there and just stays there. Kind of once it reaches the high, it just stays. And that makes sense. But you never know. Supply and demand have a lot to do with it. Also, inflation. There's a lot of things and variables that can cause things to change.
I like to look at employment, and I feel like employment and employers are still coming into Austin very strongly. It's literally every week that we hear about another company that's relocating its headquarters to Austin, relocating to somewhere in Central Texas. That's not something that's slowing down. So I don't feel that as long as employment is going strong in our area, that housing demand is going to drop. I think housing demand is still going to stay high, and the market is still going to stay strong.
Yeah, even those planned development areas where they're doing 2,500 houses here or 2,500 houses there, it's still just going to try and catch up with the demand that's happening every day. And it's just people deciding, how far am I going to want to drive? Am I going to want to drive an hour to, have a little bit bigger of a house for less money kind of thing?
Yeah.
And, it's going to come down to some decisions.
Oh, definitely. And when those decisions are made, we're here to represent our clients, and those decisions can be key, right? Because you want to stand on the correct side of representation. Because once we represent you, we're here to benefit you. We're here to help you and guide you through every steps. one thing that I love to do, and besides numbers, because I love numbers, is also negotiating. Negotiating is very key, right? You want to have an agent that's going to negotiate strongly in your favor, but also has a BATNA ready, which is the best alternative, right? You want to be able to have a backup plan and a backup plan to that backup plan to be able to negotiate for what's best in your favor. There's a lot of psychology involved in negotiating, but it just comes down also to experience, because you can go and learn all about it all day long, but it doesn't actually help you until you try it out in the field and learn how to use it correctly.
I love where you're going with this, because you are so correct, because people don't understand that agents need to stand behind their client. They need to support and be fighting, or advocating is probably a better word, for their client. Don't just be looking for the easy way. Represent your client. It's important. It's imperative that it happen.
Yeah.
And I'm loving that you're talking about it. And Nelson's Mr. Negotiations. He likes that whole dance with the one who brung you, and really stick with the fact that you're supposed to be negotiating for your client's best interest, right?
Oh, definitely. Yeah.
Absolutely.
I'm not negotiating for my favor. No. I'm not supposed to be negotiating for the other party either. Although sometimes you have to, give a little bone to receive the entire thing, right? Those are negotiation tactics, and we all go through it, and you learn those through experience. And find yourself an agent, go pull their history when you're talking to an agent. Look at their trek, right? Go to Texas Real Estate Commission and pull their license, see what education they've been doing, and what if they've just stopped doing it, they continue to take it. There's always trends, just like market trends. There's going to be trends for their education. Do you want an agent that's just going to brush by with the bare minimum every 2 years, or do you want someone who exceeds that, just like I would exceed for my clients, right? Go the extra mile.
Absolutely. Great point. Because even online education is different than classroom, right? It all kind of fills in to make the person, or make the realtor.
Yeah. And
so Carrie, where do we really go with protecting our clients in this whole scenario?
Exactly what I was going to say.
Nice. So, we protect our clients in a lot of different ways. One of the main ways is confidentiality. So we are bound by the duty of confidentiality to make sure that, things that could potentially hurt our clients in negotiations are kept confidential throughout the entire process. And that takes a lot of different forms, but it's one of our most important fiduciary duties that we uphold, is to keep that client's confidentiality and know, when not to expose facts that could hurt them.
So you're telling me I'm not going to go tell the nosy neighbor what they're actually cleared to buy for, right? No, we can't do that.
Right.
No. Big no, right? There's always going to be the nosy people around. They're always going to want to know, As agents, we can use that to our advantage. So those other agents who are not very confident or experienced in the field, right? We can take advantage of their lack of experience and their lack of education. We're not supposed to say things that are going to put you at a disadvantage as a client. We should not be saying anything that gets rid of your confidentiality. But as an agent, we could also ask the others, right? If they're willing to tell me out of sheer stupidity, I'm sorry, but it's a benefit for my client, right? They should have never have said that, and I would have never have said it. But there's some people who do. And I'm sure you've run into the same situation, right, Carrie?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Sometimes you hear something that helps your client and you hear it.
And you would never say that in return from your client. Like you asked
me,
right. Something I can't tell you. All right.
It doesn't is that confidentiality just owed to your client or owed to everyone?
It's technically owed to everyone, right? And I would owe my
client. We owe disclosure to our clients. Yeah. So if I learn something that's going to help my client, I'm going to disclose that to my client.
Mm-hmm. Right. So you're going to protect your client's confidentiality, but if they're not going to sign, if you don't have, do you have to be confidential with, keep their secrets?
Old car. That's what I call it.
Old car. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, there's ways. I'm a private man. I don't like telling people things, but if there's no signed agreement, right, it's to each their own, and I can use that to an advantage on someone else, right, from my sellers or my buyers or whomever, because if they have something signed, it doesn't stop me from helping them out for their favor, because their interests are in, first on the line, right? So I don't mind asking, because there's always going to be someone who's going to say something that you just slips out of their mouth, right? Or you can be walking by someone and who knows? It's a small world. You always meet.
It's the mouth that gets them in trouble. So
Mhm.
that's a great topic, Nelson. Way to limit their exposure,
Yep. Gotta
right?
know what to say and when to say it.
Yeah, that's a good point. That's
Gotta
a
know.
really good point.
Yeah. I like I said, it doesn't hurt me to ask, right? And if they're competent, they know they shouldn't be saying things that they shouldn't say. And it doesn't hurt for me to try, right? I'd be doing my client a disfavor if I didn't try, right?
Absolutely.
And that's stuff that we all learn through experience. And I'm sure we each have our stories that we can tell about past transactions and deals that we've run into situations that are like this. Oof. Yeah. Like I remember one day I've been with another broker. She's like, hey, it doesn't hurt to ask, because you can use it in your favor, but just make sure you don't do it too. You got to just know when to zip it, lock it, throw the key away.
Right.
One thing that also is for protecting our clients, we just limit exposure, like we just said, but then we also have to be wary about discrimination, because there's a lot of that goes on, right? Everywhere, every day, everywhere that we go, there might be someone that would be violating fair housing rights or anything like that. And we have to protect our clients in that situation.
And that's a crazy important thing, is reducing and eliminating as much of the potential for any client to be discriminated for any reason. And you don't really know what everybody's basis points are or social biases are, so you just have to protect them in any way you can. It's kind of like a baby in a little carriage, or when you put them in a car seat, and it's not it's so much more than that, but it's just putting them and protecting them.
Protection.
But even referrals, right, Carrie? You have to give them referrals sometimes.
Right. So yeah, one of the really important things that we do is be able to identify situations in which our client may need to talk to an inspector or an attorney or a specific contractor, a specific repair person. We have those contacts that we can make, but even more important than that, we can let people know, like, hey, something here doesn't seem quite right. You may need to talk to an attorney and have them review that. And that's a very important call to be able to make, because obviously we can't give legal advice. And if we feel like there's something that may affect a client's legal rights, that's when we're going to send them to, say, go hire an attorney, have them look at this so that you're being protected.
Absolutely.
Same thing with inspectors. If we are reviewing an inspector report with a client and some red flag comes up, that's when we can say, well, hey, you might want to bring in a roof inspector or a specific foundation inspector that can get you more information beyond what the property inspector has uncovered here.
There's everyone who has their own talent, their own skills, and you got to pay for those, right? Because you might be walking into a septic system that is used for a family of 3, but you're moving in a family of 6. So you're going to have some doo-doo problems in the backyard or in the front yard, wherever that septic tank is.
I do, Claire.
Yeah, I mean, you're going to be walking out on that lawn one day, you're going to step on it, and you're going to see, why is it mushy over here? And yeah, that's going to be a disaster. That's going to stink, and it's going to be gross. And so, but we agents should see signs like this, but I don't know anything about a septic. I'm not going to go in there and inspect it. I don't know if that's for a 3 or a 2 person. No. We got to hire someone or advise you to go look for someone that might specialize in that field.
Oh, Nelson, I want you to climb down in the tank and dig around in it.
Hell no. I ain't going to dig in there. I ain't going near it. I'm going to sit in the car, mask on, double mask maybe. No, thank you. This is disgusting. I've been inside a septic tank and it's disgusting. It's like I'm never doing it again. Yeah, I had to clean it. It's not doing it. I've done my fair share in there. That's disgusting. Didn't know. Masks, they don't work. I'm sorry. Pandemic aside, they don't work in a septic tank. It's just, you need to find like real one. Can't just go buy one of those that we've been using. No. It's completely different.
That is funny.
What's our
Well,
last?
what about the fifth one?
There you go. I don't know, but the last topic right here, right? It would be to help guide the way, correct, to closing. That's our major thing, because you can't seal the deal unless you seal it correctly, right?
Navigating that road to closing is going to be critical. And, you know, a lot of agents, that's one of the hardest things to juggle and keep going, because there is a bunch of things that have to happen during this time period. And, you know, you get people who assist you, but you have to be mindful of those deadlines and everything that's going on. It's kind of like we're juggling balls, and it's very easy to go hire someone, but the agent needs to be well informed and stay involved all the entire way.
Yeah. It's key to have someone who knows the deadlines, has them written down, is experienced and has done it before, because they can sneak up on you very quickly.
Yeah.
Just look at it.
Someone who's organized, someone who has those organizational skills to make sure
Exactly.
that they have calendar notifications for all of the deadlines, and that they're reminding you, you know, a few days before something needs to be done, so that no one is surprised at any point during the closing process.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, look at it. Today, everything sneaks by. It's already March. I mean, it's up mid-March, and yesterday was New Year's Eve, apparently, and now it's March, right? All of these things sneak up. Keeping everyone on track is like the main thing that we need to focus on when we're closing, right? Being able to keep your lenders on track, title and survey.
Yeah.
You got to keep them in the loop. Communication, like
Appraisers.
we established earlier, right? We want to be able to communicate clearly, and we need to communicate clearly to keep these people on track.
Yeah, very true.
Sorry.
Having a good relationship with the lending team is really important too. Help to keep all of those pieces of the puzzle on track, whether you're representing the buyer or the seller. It's really important to communicate with that lender, since they have such an important role in the closing process.
It's key to keep everyone on track, and the main person that we have to keep on track are our clients, right? And being able to benefit our clients is by analyzing contracts for them, right? To be able to find you potential outs if they become necessary, because that's something that's crucial. It can be very problematic, right? If we have an oh shit moment, and how can we get out, right? That's an experienced agent with also who has an experienced broker that can help everyone in this team, because that, you know, being able to analyze that contract to get you out would be, you know, highly crucial, and it would be highly recommended if needed to, right?
I mean, that goes right back to standing on the behind the side you represent, because a buyer's agent needs to be writing a contract with many outs in it to protect their client. But a listing agent needs to be over here going, oh, we need to minimize that. No, we need to change this, so that it is representing their client. But it's very much on the aspect of, you know, really knowing what all those outs are and everything that is going to come into play, because you never know you're going to need one until you need one.
Well,
so true.
Because it could sneak up. Life throws you curveballs, and oh shit comes around the corner. You never know.
Absolutely. But even understanding, I mean, where are we going? What's the living situation going to be?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Right.
It's very key.
Yeah, because when you're shopping for a home, you know, whether you're going from one home to another, whether you're going from a leasing situation to a buying situation, you're going to have a time when your current home, you need to be out of it, or your current apartment, you need to be out of it. So you have to make sure that either the date that you can be into your new home lines up with when you need to be out of your old one, or that you have some plan for the time in between. That's another surprise that you don't want. You do not want to not have a place to live for 3 weeks because your dates don't line up. And that's another thing that we focus on as agents, is helping our clients to, you know what to expect as far as where they're physically going to be living.
Yeah, that's something we all have. We have a lot of tools in our, you know, in our arsenal, and it helps to be able to be in groups that are connected with other agents who, some of these agents have properties around Texas and they have short-term rentals. So for example, your timeline just doesn't work out, we're going to go that extra mile and find you a spot that's local where you can temporarily stay. Like, hey, there's an Airbnb or they have a short-term rental that you can stay up to 3 months if you would like to while your house is being built or until you find that house that you're going to move into, right? Because that can be problematic. Where are you going to go, you know, pay at an apartment or a house for rent for 3 months? That's going to kill you in the green, right? It's going to ask for a lot of coin. But we have all these tools that can help you in these kind of situations, right? Like what's going to happen, right? That would be a big problem of mine because most clients, when they want to sell a house, is during what time of the year? Summertime, right? And maybe they haven't found the home yet. So we can definitely help you out in those situations. I call it, I know you're a logistics expert, right? Because you used to work in the logistic field, and that's
Absolutely.
I love using that word. It's so key to be able to help our clients logistically.
Yeah.
I mean, it's been a fun talk. I love talking about 5 things, but we shouldn't just only be doing 5 things for you. We go above and beyond.
Top 5.
Yeah,
Let's give it
the
to
top
the
5.
top 5.
Yeah.
Top
5 of 147.
Oh, who knows how many there are, right? But we all go the extra mile, especially here at Uncommon. Everyone goes the extra above and beyond what's recommended and what should we be doing. I'll be that agent that mows your lawn. I have seen it, and I found it that that's something I should be doing and I would be doing for you, right? Going the extra mile. Don't ask me to clean a septic tank, but if you can't find anyone, I'm
calling you for the shit jobs, Nelson.
Like, but if that's something that needs to be done and it's just you can't get a hold of someone, I will do it for you. I'll go down in there. I'll wear the proper
within
gear.
reason. Should we put a disclaimer within reason?
We probably should.
Probably should. Because I'm no expert. I'm no expert at it, but I will do that. Hey, if it's a favor to help you out, I will definitely go.
The phone calls you're going to get.
Yeah, way to the car and afterwards. You know, your car smells like shit. No, that's why I'm here to clean it for you. Clean it for me.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Well, it's been fun discussing the top 5 things that your agent needs to do for you. And if you've liked this content, give it a thumbs up so that it can reach other people that you know that might also like this type of format and content. We're trying to keep it fun. We're trying to keep it involved and insightful so that we learn stuff every week. And I've got 2 amazing co-hosts that I cannot sing their praises higher, and just couldn't be any better. And as we continue to grow and we see more people join, we hope you'll stay along for the ride. So thanks again for joining us, and we look forward to seeing you next week. Who knows? Maybe another time this week. You just never know with us. As Nelson says, it's good to stay extra.
Yeah, it is.
Or, as I say, uncommon.
Y'all stay safe. Feel better. I know allergies are right now bad. Y'all have a good week. I'll see you soon.
Yeah. Thanks, everybody, for being here.
Thank you.
Cheers, y'all.